I have always believed that control is the ultimate currency. In my world, the world of high-stakes venture capital, emotions are liabilities. They are inefficiencies in the system, glitches that cause bad investments and messy boardrooms. My name is Victoria Sterling, and at 34, I was the youngest partner in the history of Sterling and Vance. They called me the Ice Queen in the break room. I knew they did. I heard the whispers stop abruptly when my heels clicked against the marble floors. I didn't mind. In fact, I cultivated it. Ice is predictable. Ice is strong. Ice preserves things. My office was a fortress of glass and chrome on the 45th floor, overlooking the London skyline. It was designed to be intimidating. Minimalist furniture, sharp angles, and a temperature always set 3 degrees lower than comfortable. It kept meetings short. It kept people on their toes. But there was a variable I hadn't accounted for in my quarterly projections. His name was Julian. Julian was our new external legal counsel. He wasn't supposed to be permanent. He was brought in to oversee the merger with a tech giant in Tokyo, a deal that was supposed to take 3 months. He was everything I wasn't. Where I was rigid, he was fluid. Where I wore tailored black and navy, he wore suits that seemed to move with him, ties that were just a shade too bold for a conservative firm. He had a messy energy, a kind of organized chaos that drove me insane. And he smiled. He smiled with his eyes, with his whole face, in a way that made you feel like he knew a joke you hadn't figured out yet. The first time we clashed was over a clause in the Tokyo contract. It was a Tuesday morning, raining heavily. The gray light filtered through the floor to ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the mahogany conference table. "It's too aggressive, Victoria," Julian said, leaning back in his chair, twirling a pen. He didn't use my title. He didn't look intimidated. "It's necessary protection," I countered, keeping my voice even, devoid of annoyance. "If they default on the IP transfer, we need leverage." "You're treating a partnership like a hostile takeover," he said. He stopped twirling the pen and looked right at me. His eyes were a dark, warm hazel. "You can't legislate trust. If you squeeze them this hard, they'll walk. And you know it." The room went silent. The junior associates looked down at their laptops, terrified. No one spoke to me like that. I stood up slowly, smoothing the front of my blazer. "I am paid to ensure we don't need trust, Julian. I am paid to ensure we have guarantees. Fix the clause. Have it on my desk by 5. I walked out, my heart hammering a rhythm that had nothing to do with anger. It was adrenaline. It was the shock of resistance. For 10 years, I had been pushing against doors that opened automatically because of my name and my reputation. Julian was a door that was stuck, and God help me, I wanted to kick it down. That night, I stayed late. I always stayed late. It was part of the persona. The dedicated leader, married to the firm. The truth was simpler and sadder. I didn't have anywhere else to be. My apartment in Kensington was beautiful and empty. It was just another glass box, only smaller. Around 9:00 p.m., the office was a ghost town. The cleaning crews were humming vacuums on the lower floors. I was staring at the rain lashing against the window, a glass of sparkling water in my hand, trying to numb the headache throbbing behind my temples. A knock on the door frame made me jump. I spun around, spilling a drop of water on my wrist. It was Julian. He had loosened his tie, the top button of his shirt undone. He looked tired, but that spark was still there. "I fixed the clause," he said, holding up a folder. "It's not what you wanted, but it's what you need." "You're insubordinate," I said, but the bite was gone from my voice. I was too tired to be the ice queen. "I'm effective," he countered, walking into my office without an invitation. He placed the folder on my desk. Then he paused. He looked around the pristine, cold room. "Do you ever just breathe?" "Victoria, I'm breathing right now," I said defensively, moving back behind my desk, putting the barrier of wood and glass between us. "No," he said softly. "I mean, do you ever stop performing? There's no audience here. It's just us." He leaned his hands on my desk, leaning in. The scent of rain, old paper, and expensive sandalwood hit me. It was intoxicating. "I don't know what you mean," I lied. "I think you do," Julian said. "I think you wear this coldness like a coat of armor. But I see you. I saw you in that meeting today. You weren't angry because I challenged you. You were excited. You liked the fight." My breath hitched. He was too close to the truth. It was dangerous. "You should go, Julian," I whispered. "I shilled," he agreed. He didn't move. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. The sound of the rain against the glass seemed to amplify the beating of my heart. I looked at his lips. It was a mistake. A massive, unprofessional, catastrophic mistake. "Victoria," he said, his voice dropping an octave. "Tell me to leave. Really tell me. And I'll walk out that door, and we'll keep this strictly billable hours." I opened my mouth to banish him. To tell him he was fired. To tell him to get out. "Don't go," I said. The words were barely a breath. The mask shattered. The transition from colleagues to lovers wasn't a slide, it was a free fall. That first night, we didn't sleep together. We didn't even kiss. We sat on the leather sofa in my office, drinking the expensive scotch I kept for closing ceremonies, and we talked. For 3 hours, the Ice Queen melted into a puddle on the floor. I told him about the pressure of my father's legacy. I told him how lonely it was at the top, how every smile felt like a calculation. Julian listened. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't offer business advice. He just listened, his hand resting near mine on the cushion, the heat of his skin radiating across the small distance. When he finally left, he kissed my cheek. Just a brush of lips, soft and warm. It burned for hours. The affair began 2 days later. It was madness. It was high school recklessness with 7-figure stakes. We created a world within the office, a secret language of glances and micro-expressions. In meetings, he would slide a document across the table to me, and his finger would graze mine for a fraction of a second longer than necessary. An electric shock would travel up my arm, and I would have to fight to keep my face impassive. Regarding the merger timeline, I would say, my voice steady, while under the table, my phone would buzz with a text from him. "You look incredible when you're ruthless." It was a drug. The duality of my life became my addiction. On the surface, I was Victoria Sterling, the untouchable executive. Beneath the surface, I was a woman who was being consumed by a fire she had denied herself for a decade. We met in secret, lunch breaks that extended into strategy sessions, in out of the way bistros where no one from the financial district went. Late nights at his apartment, a chaotic, vibrant loft in Shoreditch that smelled of coffee and oil paint. He painted to relax, a fact that made me fall for him even harder. His apartment became my sanctuary. There, I wasn't the boss. I wasn't the legacy. I was just Victoria. I wore his oversized shirts. I let my hair down. I laughed. God, I hadn't realized how much I missed laughing. But the office was the danger zone. And that made it hotter. One afternoon, about 3 weeks in, I was in the elevator. I was heading down to the lobby to meet a client. The doors were closing when a hand jammed in between them. The sensors triggered, and the doors slid back open. Julian stepped in. He was holding a stack of files, looking flustered. "Hold the door." "Thanks," he muttered, not looking up. Then he saw it was me. The doors slid shut, sealing us in the metal box. We were alone. He looked at the security camera in the corner, then at me. A wicked grin spread across his face. "Ems. Sterling," he said formally. "Mr. Hayes," I replied, gripping the handle of my briefcase. He took a step closer. The elevator was silent, a smooth descent. We were passing the 30th floor. "I have a complaint," he whispered, stepping into my personal space. "Oh," I challenged, my back pressing against the cool metal wall. "Is it about the workload?" "It's about the boss," he murmured. "She's very distracting. I can't concentrate on the due diligence reports because I keep thinking about the way she tastes." My knees went weak. "That sounds like a personal problem, counselor." "It's a personnel problem," he corrected, dropping the files on the floor. He kissed me then. It wasn't gentle. It was hungry, desperate, fueled by the risk of the elevator stopping at any floor. His hands were in my hair, messing up the perfect bun. My hands were clutching the lapels of his jacket, pulling him closer. The scent of him, soap and peppermint, filled my senses. We broke apart when the bell chimed for the lobby. He bent down, scooped up his files, and smoothed his hair. I adjusted my blouse, my heart hammering like a trapped bird. The doors opened. The lobby was full of people. "I'll have those reports on your desk by 3, Julian said loudly, stepping out. "See that you do." I called after him, my voice trembling slightly. I walked to my car, my legs shaking. I felt alive. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just existing in gray scale. I was living in Technicolor. But secrets in a corporate glass house are impossible to keep forever. The cracks were starting to show. I was distracted. I missed a minor detail in a quarterly report. Nothing fatal, but enough for my father, the chairman emeritus, to notice. "You seem unfocused." "Victoria." He told me over dinner that Sunday, he cut his steak with surgical precision. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is fine, father." I lied. "Just the merger. It's complex. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment," he warned, not looking at me. "We are Sterlings. We don't make mistakes." I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. I realized then that I was playing a game I couldn't win. If I chose Julian, I lost the respect I had bled for. If I chose the firm, I lost the only thing that made me feel human. I tried to pull back. I tried to reinstate the boundaries. We need to cool it down at work. I told Julian the next day. I was sitting on the edge of his desk, the blinds drawn. "Why?" he asked, genuine confusion in his eyes. "No one knows, Vic." "Someone will know. Someone always knows. My father suspects something is off." Julian stood up and walked over to me. He took my hands. "So let them know. Are we breaking a law?" "No." "Is it against company policy?" "Technically, Maybe a conflict of interest, but we can declare it. We can handle it. You don't understand. I snapped, pulling my hands away. I am not a normal employee. I am the future CEO. I cannot be seen sleeping with the legal counsel. It looks weak. It looks unprofessional. It looks like a cliché. Julian recoiled as if I had slapped him. The warmth left his eyes, replaced by a dull hurt. Is that what this is to you? He asked quietly. Cliché. A distraction from your ascent to the throne. No, Julian. I think you need to decide what you want, Victoria, he said, turning his back to me. Because I'm not going to be your dirty little secret forever. I deserve more than the shadows. I left his office without a word. I went back to my fortress on the 45th floor and stared at the city. The lights of London blurred through my tears. I was the Ice Queen again. But this time, the ice burned. The crisis hit 2 weeks later. It wasn't the romance that triggered it. It was the Tokyo deal. The tech giant we were acquiring had cooked their books. It was deep in the data, hidden in shell companies. Julian found it. He found it 3 days before the final signing. He burst into the boardroom, where I was meeting with the senior partners and my father. He didn't knock. He looked pale, his hair disheveled. Stop the signing, he announced, throwing a stack of papers on the table. Excuse me, my father rumbled, his face turning a dangerous shade of red. Mr. Hayes, you are interrupting a board meeting. I'm saving you £200 million, Julian said, his voice hard. He looked at me. Victoria, look at page 42. The subsidiary debt. It's not external, it's circular. They're funding their own revenue. I grabbed the papers. My hands shook as I scanned the numbers. He was right. It was fraud. Massive, systemic fraud. If we signed, Sterling and Vance would be liable for billions in hidden debt. It would bankrupt us. He's right, I whispered. I looked up at my father. We have to pull the plug. The room erupted. My father was furious. The partners were shouting. But Julian stood there, calm in the storm, looking only at me. We were a team. In that moment, surrounded by chaos, I felt a surge of pride so intense, it nearly knocked the wind out of me. He wasn't just a lover. He was brilliant. He was my equal. We spent the next 48 hours in the war room, dismantling the deal, drafting press releases, and managing the fallout. We worked side by side, sleeves rolled up, drinking stale coffee. The tension between us was still there. The unresolved argument about our relationship. But it was buried under the immediate need to survive. By Friday night, the crisis was averted. The stock took a hit, but the firm was safe. We were exhausted. My father called me into his office. He looked older, tired. Good work, Victoria, he grunted. And pass my thanks to the lawyer, Hayes. He has a sharp eye. He saved us, I said firmly. Yes, he did. My father paused, studying me. He looks at you, Victoria. I froze. What? The way he looks at you. And the way he look at him when you think no one is watching. My father sighed. I'm old, but I'm not blind. I waited for the lecture. I waited for the order to fire him. Is he worth it? My father asked. What? Is he worth the distraction? Is he worth the risk? I thought about the empty apartment. I thought about the cold perfection of my life before Julian. I thought about the elevator. I thought about the way he made me laugh in his messy kitchen. Yes, I said. The word was small, but it was solid as a rock. He is. My father nodded slowly, Then stop hiding it. Secrets make you look guilty. Strength is owning your choices. He dismissed me. I walked out of my father's office in a daze. I went straight to Julian's office. It was dark. He was packing a box. My heart stopped. "What are you doing?" He looked up. He looked defeated. "I'm resigning, Victoria. I can't do this anymore. I can't be in the same building as you and not be with you. And I won't ask you to choose." "Put the box down," I said. "Vic, please. Don't make this harder." "Put the damn box down, Julian!" I shouted. He dropped the box on the desk with a thud. I walked over to him. I didn't care that the door was open. I didn't care that the cleaning crew was down the hall. "You're not resigning," I said, my voice shaking. "Because I need my legal counsel. And because I need you. I can't be just your counsel," he said softly. "I know," I said. I took a deep breath. This was it, the cliff edge. "My father knows," I told him. Julian's eyes widened. You told him. What did he say?" "He asked if you were worth it." Julian waited, holding his breath. I told him yes. A slow smile spread across Julian's face, that same smile that had annoyed me and captivated me on day one. Yeah. He pulled me in. He kissed me, right there in the open doorway of his office, under the fluorescent lights. It wasn't a hidden, desperate kiss like in the elevator. It was a claim. It was a promise. We walked out of the building together that night, hand in hand. We passed the security guard at the front desk. "Good night, Miss Sterling." "Good night, Hayes," the guard said, not batting an eyelid. "Good night, George," I said, smiling. A real smile. Outside, the London air was crisp and cold. But I wasn't cold. "So," Julian said as we stood on the pavement, the city buzzing around us. "What now?" "Now," I said, squeezing his hand. "We'll go to your place. You make me that terrible pasta you think is authentic. And on Monday we deal with the HR paperwork." "Sounds like a plan," he said. He hailed a cab. As I climbed into the taxi, I looked back at the glass tower. It loomed over us, tall and imposing. But it didn't look like a fortress anymore. It just looked like a building. The glass wall between who I was and who I wanted to be had finally shattered. And on the other side, amidst the shards and the chaos, I found something I hadn't even realized I was looking for. I found myself. And I found him. 6 months later, the dynamic had shifted, but the thrill hadn't faded. If anything, bringing our relationship into the light had added a new layer of complexity. We were the power couple of the firm now. People watched us. They analyzed our body language in meetings. They waited for the implosion. But we disappointed them. We thrived. The real test, however, came with the annual Global Summit in New York. It was the biggest event of the year, a black tie gala where deals were brokered over champagne and caviar. I was nervous. This was my first public appearance with Julian as my partner, not just my colleague. The dress I chose was a statement. Midnight blue velvet, backless, elegant but severe. I was still the ice queen, but perhaps the ice was beginning to thaw. Julian wore a tuxedo. He looked devastating. When he walked into our hotel room, fixing his cufflinks, I actually forgot how to speak for a moment. "You look," he started, staring at me. "Dangerous." "Good," I said, turning for inspection. "I need to be. The investors from Dubai are going to be there. They're skeptical about the restructuring." "They'll love you," he said. walking over and kissing my bare shoulder. Just don't terrify them too much. The gala was held in a ballroom overlooking Central Park. It was a sea of diamonds and egos. I navigated the room with my usual precision, shaking hands, remembering names, deflecting questions about the market volatility. Julian was by my side, charming the wives of the board members, making the stiff CEOs laugh. He was the perfect counterweight to my intensity. Midway through the evening, the music shifted to a slow waltz. The floor cleared slightly. "Dance with me," Julian whispered, taking my champagne flute and placing it on a passing tray. "I don't dance at business functions, Julian," I hissed. "It's frivolous. Why are out as a couple, Victoria? If we don't dance, people will think we're on the rocks. It's a strategic maneuver." I rolled my eyes, but I let him lead me to the floor. He pulled me close. His hand was warm on the small of my back. We moved together seamlessly. For a moment, the room faded away. The noise of the chatter, the clinking of glasses, it all became background static. "You're stiff," he murmured in my ear. "I'm being watched by 300 competitors," I replied. "Let them watch," he said. "Let them see that Victoria Sterling is human. It makes you more unpredictable, and therefore, more powerful." He spun me around. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the mirrored walls. I didn't look cold. I looked radiant. I looked happy. Suddenly, a hush fell over the room near the entrance. I turned to look. It was Marcus Thorne, my ex-fiancé from 5 years ago. He was a shark from a rival firm. We had ended badly. He couldn't handle my ambition. He had told me I would end up alone at the top of my tower. He saw me. He smiled, a shark-like grin, and began to walk over. My stomach clenched. "Julian," I warned. "Incoming, I see him," Julian said calmly. He didn't stop dancing. "Victoria," Marcus said, stepping onto the edge of the dance floor. "You look stunning as always. The years haven't touched you." "Marcus," I nodded politely. "This is Julian Hayes, my partner." Marcus looked Julian up and down, dismissing him instantly. "Ah, the lawyer. I heard about the Tokyo save. Lucky catch. Due diligence isn't luck, Marcus," Julian said pleasantly. "It's competence. Something your firm struggled with last quarter, wasn't it?" Marcus's smile faltered. "Is that so?" "I read the filings," Julian continued, spinning me slightly so he was shielding me. Section 8. Heavy losses in emerging markets. You might want to worry less about luck and more about your liquidity. It was a verbal slap in the face, delivered with a smile. Marcus turned red. He muttered a vague excuse and retreated. I looked up at Julian. My heart was pounding with that familiar mix of adrenaline and desire. "Did you just insult Marcus Thorne to his face?" I asked. "He was looking at you like you were an acquisition target." Julian shrugged. "I didn't like it." I laughed. A real, loud laugh that turned heads. "I didn't care." "You're impossible," I said. "I'm yours," he corrected. Later that night, we left the party early. We ran through the lobby of the hotel like teenagers, escaping the stuffy atmosphere. We ended up at a 24-hour diner a few blocks away, eating fries in our gala clothes. I watched him dip a fry into a milkshake. "You know," I said thoughtfully, "I used to think that love made you weak, that it exposed your flank. And now?" Julian asked. "Now I think it's the best armor I have." He reached across the sticky table and took my hand. His thumb traced the line of my knuckles. "I'm not going anywhere, Vic. even when you're in Iron Lady mode, even when you're difficult, especially when you're difficult. I am difficult, I admitted. You're complex, he said. There's a difference. The journey wasn't over. We would have fights. We would have power struggles. There would be days where I would want to retreat back into my ice fortress and days where his chaos would drive me up the wall. But looking at him under the harsh, fluorescent lights of the diner, with ketchup on his lip and love in his eyes, I knew one thing for certain. I was done being cold. The adrenaline of the fall was over, but the warmth was just beginning. And it felt like victory. Epilogue, the rooftop, 2 years later. I stood on the rooftop of the Sterling and Vance building. The wind whipped my hair around my face. Below me, London was a grid of golden lights. I wasn't alone. You're thinking about the Asian expansion. Julian's voice came from behind me. I turned. He was holding 2 mugs of coffee. He had gray hairs now, just a few at the temples. They suited him. I'm thinking about how far down it is, I said, taking the mug, and how I'm not afraid of falling anymore. That's good, he said, leaning against the parapet next to me, because we just bought a house with a lot of stairs. I smiled. We had a Victorian townhouse in Chelsea. It was a compromise. It had his chaos and my structure. Do you miss it? I asked suddenly. The thrill of the secret. The elevator moments. Julian looked at me. He set his mug down on the ledge. He stepped closer, crowding me against the railing, shielding me from the wind. Victoria, he whispered, his voice dropping to that low register that still made my knees weak. Every time you walk into a room and look at me, it's a thrill. Every time we solve a crisis together, it's a rush. The secret was fun. But the reality is better. He kissed me. It was deep and slow, tasting of coffee and the cold night air. It was the kiss of a man who knew every inch of me, every scar, every ambition, and loved them all. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A crisis in Hong Kong. I pulled back, breathless. I checked the screen. We have to go, I said. The market is opening. Led the way, boss. Julian grinned. I took his hand. We walked back towards the door, towards the light. Towards the chaos of the business, we ruled together. I was Victoria Sterling. I was the Ice Queen. But inside, a fire was burning that would never go out. And for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I belonged.